I read in War Torn, which you co-authored and contributed to about female journalists in Vietnam, that you were talking about a walking point and being in front of other people. Can you explain that?
Oh yeah, this is the most dangerous position when you're on a combat patrol. It's called the point, point man, because when you're walking, you're first, so presumably you'll get shot first. And you're, so nobody really likes to do that. But I decided that I once walked point because I wanted to see what it was like. And, it was scary.
When you were going through this, did you feel in your career that you had a role model that you looked up to, or kind of a mentor at all?
No, because what we were doing was so different.
Yeah.
You know, that I didn't, because like the female reporters in prior wars, it had been different. Like in World War II, the female reporters, they had to do whatever the military told them. So what they would do to get ahead was try and make friends with the highest general, and it was kind of like a male-female sort of thing. And so there was no one like, the Vietnam War was so different because it wasn't considered a war, we called it a conflict. So the Americans couldn't govern reporters like they do in wars now.
Yeah, with everything going on politically right now, and obviously you worked in political news reporting. Do you have any maybe insight or advice for young professional women on how to maybe make a difference in today's kind of political climate? I feel like a lot of people don't really know how to.
Yeah, it was funny. I was reading, there are all these guides now about how to survive this election.
Yeah.
And one guide said, breathe. And that's the one thing you can count on, your breath.
Yeah.
Breathe, like yoga breathing. But I think it's our whole world has changed by the last election.
Yeah.
And I see people demonstrating and asking to change the electoral college. And I think that's a good way to vent.
Yeah.
People need to vent, but I think now people have to get down, sit down, and figure out what do I value, and to work for, like, not work, but volunteer for a nonprofit, or teach someone how to read, or do something to help. What many of us see is if that coming down the road, just to fight and don't give up. And for reporters, I think we have to hold elected officials' feet to the ground more than ever.
Yeah.
Not let them get away with anything. And that becomes harder now with fewer news outlets. But for the individual person or the professional worker, I think just find the cause that you think will change the world and volunteer like 1 hour a month or a year.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I've seen more in San Francisco, with Facebook, you can see local events that are trending with your friends, and I've seen more strategy meetings of how to kind of move forward with the new president-elect and try to make the most out of it, and I think that that's a smart way that I definitely want to get involved in.
Yeah, I think that you could say, I was thinking about that, it's a positive. A lot of people say this election has been so horrific, and in ways it has, but people are joining together, banding together, and then people care about politics too. People now really study what the Electoral College means, and how many senators there are, and how you filibuster. The Democrats still have some power in the Senate, so people are learning about things that previously they would have thought were very boring and process oriented.
Yeah, I agree. I think from studying abroad in Argentina, I saw that a lot, that countries that are less comfortable politically, a lot of them, they're so politically involved. And coming back here, we really weren't. People weren't reading the news, like you said. And because I think we were very comfortable, so we didn't need to. But I think with this new, whatever side you're on, I think everyone feels a state of discomfort. And I think that's making everyone a lot more move to action and getting more involved with the politics.
Yeah,
which
it's
I think
kind
is
of
good.
revolutionary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I woke up the morning after the election and I had a physical reaction, I started trembling. My body was trembling, and then I thought, why is that happening? And it's amazing. It's the whole world has changed in that one night. It's, everything will be different.
Do you have any other maybe just tips from your experience for young professional women in going through their career that you learned?
Well, one thing I learned, and again by watching people, and I learned it growing up in Hawaii, people here in Hawaii, they're very grateful, and they're very good about giving gifts or writing notes or being complimentary. And what I think is very, very good is to always thank people. And I know that sounds just so obvious, but when you thank people that have helped you, because you never get there by yourself, to thank the lower people too. Everyone thanks like the boss.
Yeah.
So for example, I always think of advice. I've been a TV reporter, and I advise people that they thank me when I do a story about them to write a thank you note to the cameraman, because no one thanks the cameraman.
Yeah.
And that's the one that makes the story.
Yeah.
It makes the subject, the interview subject, look good. And they never get thanks. So always to look when you're out, to think who else participated in this thing, this event or happening that was good for me, that was kind and helpful to me. And then the other thing that I've seen to advise people is to read news. I just meet so many people now that are so ill-informed, and they're not stupid, but they just don't know. When you've traveled a lot, you've experienced this, they don't know where countries are.
Yeah.
And so I think the more, like if you could read a newspaper every day or The Economist magazine, to just be informed, it's very helpful. I don't know if you experience that with your travels, find out people don't know where you've been.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of assumptions of how countries are, I definitely agree with that. Well, I love the information we've talked about so far. Are there any other things that you feel like you maybe have thought about to share or anything?
No, I just think that find something you like to do and do it, and also don't worry so much about your profession or your career. Just do it and get in on the lowest level.
Well, thank you, Denby. I'm really happy that we had this conversation. I feel like we had a lot of good points that we covered to share.
It's my privilege.